All right, why don't we get to it?
Yeah.
We're here, third edition of the Go Throw Show, brought to you guys by Flight Factory Discs and shot by the boys at GK Pro. I'm here with Paul Ulibarri, and we're at Santa Cruz.
We're in a nice spot.
We're in California, yeah. We're sitting on the edge of a cliff. Pretty nasty. This is right behind hole 15. If you've played day law and you haven't walked out behind, you need to do it. Absolutely amazing spot.
Yeah, sometimes you have a nice backup, so you can just kind of take a little stroll over here, get your mind off of stuff.
Yeah, especially if that last putt didn't go so well.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to a bunch of stuff, but just want to find out how you're doing.
Man, I'm great, man. The fact that we're back in Santa Cruz, you know, obviously we weren't able to get here last year, and such a chill place. I mean, the environment's great. Beach is right there. We can see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, disc golf started not far from here.
Yeah, it's a special place for sure. One of my favorite places to play, just to play in general. I think I have more practice rounds on this course before like a tournament each year than like any place that I play because it's so fun. You know, you can get some super fun little money rounds going with your boys.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many angles that you got to practice that aren't used other places.
Yep.
It's a very specific type of course. Well, we know you're a busy dude, so we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for
Hey, I know
that.
you guys are busy, so thanks for having me.
Questionable if anybody's busier than you, though, man. You keep irons in the fire. One would say that you hustle. I mean,
I do.
In the grand term of the word, you are a hustler. What I don't know, what have you been feeling the most lately? With all the things you have with the Jomez,
Yeah.
with the practice rounds. I mean, you got commentary, you got a lot of stuff going on.
I just feel blessed, man, to even be in this position, like to be able to do all of that stuff. Like, very blessed to be in the position that I am. You know, God's blessed me in crazy ways. I still get to compete, you know, at a high level. I get to do commentary. I get all these different, you know, alleys of just disc golf in general, which, you know, years ago we never had any of that stuff. And so, yeah, I just feel so blessed, man. So happy. I'm at a very good place in my life for sure.
Yeah, you put the time in. This didn't come accidentally, as all these people at home know. You've been at this a minute. What is it like after all these years still doing it, man?
I mean, it's the same. It's just, it really is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the same. I still have so much passion to play and to compete. And I mean, nothing really changes that much except for it's just easier now. It is like touring's easier. And so now it's even, I feel like, more enjoyable than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not living out of the car.
No.
Accommodations have gotten a little bit better for sure. Well, we know you're, coming back from a knee injury.
Yep.
That kept you down for a little while, but you're back as strong as ever.
Yeah.
We know your putting is obviously #1 on tour right now.
Yep.
Ridiculous. You've put time in. We talked a whole bunch about it just a bit ago. How much you focused on that circle one.
Right.
And how you feel like you got it dialed and you're backing it up now. But talk about the knee, the recovery there.
Yeah, man, a crazy process, honestly. Like, it just came out of nowhere.
And when did it happen, too? It's like backstory.
2019.
At the Portland Open.
Yeah, at the Portland Open, exactly. And like I said, just kind of out of nowhere to where I was actually kind of really catching my stride. I just won like a nice tournament, a lot of touring pros there. I was getting top 10s almost every weekend, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, pow.
What was it, a throw?
It was a throw, yeah. It was a throw and then a follow through, and then it was done. And it had always been a little bit weak from an original injury, but I never expected, for it to go like that. It would pop out from time to time if I was playing like another sport or something, but it would just be like, oh, a little sore, and then I was good. And this time it just like, I felt it pop. I felt all the bad stuff happen.
You felt a tear?
Oh, yeah. I felt it all.
Was it an uphill lie?
No, it was just on T-pad, and the T-pad had a little baby drop, and the way that I landed on it, my knee just gave in the other way, and it just like literally went sideways.
Slid off the edge.
Yep.
Right. And it required surgery, didn't it?
Yeah, it required, so I tore, apparently I had already tore my ACL, I didn't know, from the original injury. And then going into the doctor, they told me, okay, so you already had that torn, and that's why it kind of was flopping in and out. And then now you've torn your MCL and your meniscus. So I tore everything. the whole knee was donezo.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
And then, so obviously the number one surgery was the ACL surgery, and that took about 2 months to get into, a surgery. And it was rough.
In the meantime, are you golfing?
So right away,
that 2 months.
Yeah, no, I wasn't golfing in any way. I couldn't really walk. Anytime I'd walk, it would give in this way, anyway.
Yeah,
like
the stability was gone.
It was, donezo. So couldn't do anything for 2 months while I was waiting for a doctor. And then I volunteered to be the commentator for the Pro Tour. They just started their live that year. And so they were cool enough to hook me up with that. So I was doing live commentary for, I think like 2 months or something.
Were you doing it at the place you were? Or were you driving
Yep, at my place at the time was in Arizona. And I did it with a few different people, my brother, my buddy Marty, and then I think one other guy. Nice. And so that's all I did. I tried to do my best to like stay active in the community, but obviously when you're not out.
The mobility is gone, it makes it tough.
Yeah, I had to make the decision just to kind of stay home.
Yeah. There are things you could do.
Yeah, but then the surgery happened, and it was like recovery time,
Have you had surgery before? Is this your first?
First one, yep. Yep, and so like I had a lot of people reach out to me and tell me what it was going to be like, and some really helpful stuff, some other stuff that was like kind of like, I don't really need to hear that type thing.
Yeah, that was your personal experience to put that on me.
Yeah, exactly. Like
any of that.
I had a lot of people tell me like, listen, man, like you're never going to be the same. Like it's never gonna be good, and blah, blah, blah. Like they'll say that it is, and
some realists trying to
being like
temper expectations.
Sure, which is nice. Like I get where they're coming from, but you don't ever want to hear that.
No, you don't.
One in particular that I'll never forget was they told me, listen, I know what you're thinking. You're gonna be ready in 6 months because that's like the fastest it can be done, or 6 or 5 months. And they said, like, that's for like the best athletes who have the best doctors, and you're not LeBron James. Like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Or Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, and I'm like, my mindset was like, what are you talking about? I'm exactly that in my sport. Like,
you are.
No, like I'm a baller. Like that's not, so like I was trying to use that as motivation, but it was tough, man. Like the recovery process was insane. I went to rehab.
There's a bunch of therapy
involved.
Dude,
yeah. It was
strengthening stuff.
Yeah, and they give you like limits to what you would have to do. So I'd like go into my physical training and
they'd evaluate.
And then I'd have to do like however long it was, and then after I would get done, I would go to the gym and then do like the same thing again because they wouldn't allow me to do it. So I was like hustling, I'm like, no, this is, I think that's, as an athlete, that's what happens to almost every single one. Like, if you're competitive, they're going to give you that time slot, and then you're going to be like, I'm going to do this. You either like give up or you just like let it motivate you.
Right.
And so I was going in, I was doing double whatever they told me without them wanting me to do that.
And you know the specifics of the surgery? I mean, you said you had the ACL, MCL, and the meniscus torn. So what all did they do in that?
So the meniscus, they shaved a little part of it out.
Right. So that's what I had done to my knee as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just clip the meniscus a bit.
Yep, and it's so bad that I'm going to need a new one eventually. Like they told me like the way that this injury like wrecked it, like you can't really replace a meniscus. I guess it's like crazy surgery.
Yeah, the meniscus you have is...
That's what you get. Yeah. So like that was done. But then the MCL, when you tear that, like that can just rehab and be back. So that wasn't like detached.
Yeah. Well, some of the stem cell stuff they have coming out nowadays is interesting too. I don't know if you've...
For sure. I looked into all that stuff because then, so I go through the whole process of getting back to where I felt like, each time they would evaluate me, they'd be like, dude, you're 2 weeks ahead or you're 2 months ahead. And there was a point where they're like, yeah, you're 2 months ahead. And then it got to the spot to where they said, listen, you're far ahead, but now it's at a point to where you have to wait. You can't do anything because the ACL needs to attach and heal properly to the spot. So then I was like, dang, you did all this work and you guys are going to like...
to chill, mom?
Yeah, chill.
Come on, guys.
So during this process, I moved from Arizona to Seattle. And I'm in Seattle. And then I'm getting close to like that 4 to 5 month mark.
Yeah.
And one day I wake up, I walk outside, and they gave me free reign to do slight jogging. So I got up the next morning like, dude, this is gonna be so sick. Like, let's go. Take a jog, can't jog, extreme pain. And I'm like, what is this? So I like,
you were putting the weight on it.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Pain? It was a sharp pain. Yeah, and I'm like, it was
on the side of the knee.
It was in there.
In there.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, what is this? So then I like wait a couple days, tried again, nope, can't. And at this point, I'm like not being able to even walk. So I gotta go to the doctor again. Go to the doctor. Sorry, this is a long story, but there's a point to it because I go to the doctor and they take, what is it? Not X-rays, but
an MRI.
MRIs. Yeah, they do an MRI because he pulls my leg, and there's like a test you can do. To where you pull the leg to see if you have ACL, and he's like
attached or not.
And he's like, yeah, you don't have ACL anymore. He's like, you must have torn it or something again. And I'm like, what? I haven't done anything. Like, I feel great. Like when I was sleeping, he's like, yeah, sometimes the little attachment will just pop off and you're done.
When you're sleeping.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're telling me that my, so now
that entire surgery was for nothing.
So then I come back 2 days later to get the MRI, and at this point I'm like, I literally went out and played golf that day. Disc golf, because I'm like, my ACL is done. Well, I'm gonna go play.
All right.
Yeah. And so I'm like hobbling around playing, because I was like I was in a dark place for sure.
Yeah. Which knee is it? It's your
left.
Yeah.
All
right.
And I get a call the next day to come look at my results, and he's like, actually, it's worse news. He's like, your ACL's fine. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I have no idea what's wrong with your leg. You shouldn't have pain. Like your stuff's all like good.
The unknown's always worse, I feel like.
That's
if they can explain to you why the pain is there.
It was unbelievable. Like, so then I have this guy look at me and goes, yeah, like, you gotta like, what's your B plan? Because obviously he knew I was a disc golfer.
What your B plan was?
Yeah. He goes, what's your B plan? Because like, you're not gonna be able to do anything ever again. Like, you're done.
He's acting as your life advisor.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting there like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a NFL player. Like, I don't need to be tackling some fools or anything. Like, I need a 3-step run up to compete with these guys.
Spin some beads, yo.
Yeah, and he's like, no, like, you need to be thinking about retirement because I've never seen, like, there's nothing wrong with your knee.
I know that, like, in your mind, you're probably not agreeing with it, but what does it feel like to hear that? Like, it was the worst thing ever. I got into my car, started bawling immediately. Yeah. Like just straight tears, drove home. My girlfriend at the time was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, he told me I can't play again. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like the heaviest thing you can ever hear from anybody ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like thinking like I did all this stuff and, right away, she was so supportive. She like called other doctors and she's like, no, this is,
And second opinion.
Because at that point, like I was in a place to where like it took a lot of heart to just like do it all and do the extra and go every single day and not, eat bad or do this. Like I was doing it all the right way. I wanted to be back out there.
Right. You're taking the steps.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like what the heck?
We got an unknown in the system now.
Yeah. Like what am I supposed to do? I don't know like super doctors. And now like that one person, I'm like, damn, they were right. Shoot.
Yeah.
And we got a hold of a special knee guy, and it was like my last go
in the Seattle area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he worked with like the Mariners, and he worked with the Seahawks.
Yeah, the Seahawks.
And so I go in, and I'm just super depressed and like pissed, pretty much. And he like looks at my knee, and he's like evaluating it, and he looks at the what did we say it was?
MRI.
Looks at the MRI and he goes, oh, I know exactly what this is. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I know exactly what this is. Come in 2 weeks, we got a little surgery. And he explains the surgery he has to do. And he's like, yeah, you'll be good to go.
And what was the surgery?
So what happened was they have to put a little screw in to attach the ACL at first.
To reattach
and
it.
then your body breaks down that screw.
Is it a metal screw or is it like ceramic or something?
I don't know, but my body's supposed to break this down. It creates a little acid that breaks the thing down. My body mistook the screw for being the bone and started attacking my bone with the acid.
Oh my
so
God.
then I had all this inflammation, you know what I mean, to where every time I step, like there's acid just attacking my whole knee.
Oh no.
You know, just shredding everything.
That's what it is, some acid up in there.
Something, you know, whatever it is that's attacking. I'll say acid. Who knows what it is?
Right.
I'm not a doctor.
No, we're not doctors.
I promise. And I'm like, and now all of a sudden I have life again, you know? I'm like, what the heck? Sick.
So you go in, it's an arthroscopic surgery again?
Yeah. 2 weeks later, he goes in there.
Well, he takes out the screw?
It was breaking down a little bit. So all he had to do was get the acid out, take the access screw out, and then that was it. 2 weeks after I got my surgery, I was walking on it again. A month later, I was playing.
All right. So that sounded just really simple. He just like goes in, takes out the screw, whatever. Isn't that freaking ridiculous that that's an option?
Yeah.
Like super uninvasive, enters into your knee, takes out something that was put in there by other people.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, you're playing golf.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a pretty crazy thing. And like, so there was a time where the guy looked at me in the face and said I wasn't going to play disc golf again. Oh. You know what I mean? And like, from that, and then a month later, so that's why, like, there's a sweet message here. Like, get a second opinion, get a third opinion. Like, don't let somebody, even with like crazy, you know, a crazy education, tell you that you can't do it.
An expert.
Yeah. Like, because
they hadn't seen it before.
They didn't,
and the specialist obviously had.
And so, yeah.
So what are are you taking steps even to this day, or does it still nag at you, or like what?
The meniscus does, because obviously that's always going to nag.
Yeah.
Everything else is strong. I'm 100% strong. Yeah. After that, I started running again and did all that stuff. I'm not as healthy as I'd like to be, but that's from the food that I eat, probably.
And
you know what I mean?
And the time that you're not able to spend exercising because you hustle.
And so, yeah, but it was nuts.
Yeah. The stem cells, like what?
So then, literally, the month happened. 1 week after a month, I went out and I played a tournament. I won the first tournament that I played. Screenshot it. It was like a little C tier. Screenshotted it, sent it to that person who told me, like, hey, you can't.
The doctor?
No. The person who was like, you're not LeBron James, you're not. And that was 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
So I beat the 6 months, and I was playing in 5 months, won my tournament, and was just like, you know what I mean?
Very Adrian Peterson of you.
No, that's...
Yeah. You did what you had to do. You always will. That drive's ridiculous. But the stem cells, I want to hear a little bit about what you think like the future of that is.
I don't know a lot of information about it. I looked, as soon as they told me that, I looked straight into the stem cell stuff.
Joe Rogan talks about it all the time.
And I was ready to fly to wherever I had to go to get
like
a new knee.
Yeah.
Straight up. I looked, for sure. And it looks like the future, honestly. Yeah. Like they are building new everything off of that stuff. And, man, what that could do. You know what I mean? Like you might have new limbs if you want it.
Dude, I've got a bunch of parts that could use some...
Seriously.
I had shoulder surgery back in the day, that knee surgery that we were talking about. I'm sure we could all at this point. I mean, being past your 30s. But, transitioning into that, like being past your 30s, playing all these young kids. I mean, the drive that it takes, it's twice as much. Like you say, it's easier to tour, but it's not easier to hang with them round to round.
No, it's not. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. And a lot of times, we're not winning.
Nope.
We're taking some L's along the way.
Almost every weekend.
And yet you still lace them up every week.
That's right.
You're a fucking savage.
Well, that's the thing, is that's the hardest part of this whole thing. You know what I mean? Is going out and getting beat every single weekend. And I feel like and that's why there's certain people that are cut out for it and there's certain people that aren't, I have the mentality to where if I'm stepping on the course, I think I can win. You know what I mean? And I have arguments with some, pessimists a lot. Where they're like,
You can't actually believe.
Yeah, you don't believe that. Like, you don't believe that. And I'm like, no, I really do.
Yeah.
Like,
this space is mine.
Yeah.
I believe things.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I have not won a tour event to, like, a pro tour or national tour or something like that since 2011 or 2010. Yeah. That's a 10-year span of, you know, and I haven't been ranked out of the top 10 in a long time. That was one of the good goals is when I hurt my knee, I was ranked in the top 10, and then I had all that time off. And that's another thing. When you have that time off, like, people forget about you just like this. As soon as you're not in it, bro, you're nothing, and nobody knows who you are.
Right.
You know? Like, in order to stay relevant in any sport, you got to be out there grinding and doing it.
Yeah, especially in a sport that's growing as quickly as this one.
Exactly, because there's a new shiny toy out there every single weekend. That we don't know about, you know? And so, you know, to come back the year that I was healthy, like, I had a lot of people tell me, like, oh, well, the game's different now.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so young, and these kids are so good, and I'm, like, watching it, you know, from the couch and seeing it happen. I mean, that was also one of the toughest things, is having my leg in a brace, watching the USDGC, and watching a good buddy of mine, James, win.
Yeah.
But taking a 7 down the stretch and cashing in a U.S. title where I'm sitting back, and that was the lowest score anybody had ever won with. Yeah. You know, and I had never shot that. Yeah. Like, I've always been in, like, the top 10, I feel like, for, like, 10 years, and then just, like, thinking, like, this is the year? Yeah. This is the year I decided to,
bum
you know.
knee, everybody takes it off.
Yeah.
Macbeth took, you know. Yeah. One of his worst finishes that week.
Exactly, and then I'm watching, like, all these new faces, like Chris Clemens. Like, I never even knew that he was, like, major guy.
Savage.
And then all of a sudden he's making a deep run the whole time.
At Worlds, and then a couple months later at the USDGC.
Yeah. Dude, I threw my remote at the TV. And I couldn't even watch. I just couldn't watch the tournament. Yeah. Like, the Worlds, like, both times, like, I'm just like, I can't even watch this. You know, each time I watched it, I literally would start crying and being like, why ain't I freaking there? Yeah. And, you know, now coming back and then playing, they are good. They were, you know,
the game has continued to...
It's crazy. And so how do you have that mindset to come out and think you can do it every day? Like you said, you have this space, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Yeah. And don't let anybody tell you differently. No. Because probably if somebody does tell you, a certain person, that's just going to motivate them, you know, to be that. And that's what I think is, like, dude, I get called old all the time now. I'm 32 years old. As an athlete, like, that's usually when that's your prime, you know?
You're your strongest.
Yeah. Like, mentally, everything. Like, and I feel that. Like, I step up onto the course each week, and I legitimately say, and I've said this for 10 years, it could very well be this weekend. Like, this is it. Like, just stay patient. Yeah. And if you can stay patient, like, I have no doubt about it. I can feel it. Like, I'll be tapping in for another big win very soon. I've been saying that for 10 years, but that belief still hasn't changed. It hasn't gone down in any way, you know?
As we sit here, Phil Mickelson just won the PGA Championship at age 50.
You can use that stuff. You know, I was talking to my girlfriend, and she's like, well, why do you like watching golf? And I said, because it motivates me. Like, I can see stories and like, I can take from these stories and build confidence off of other people. Yeah. You know, the way that they're playing and things. And to see Phil win, like, are you kidding me? You know, even watching Nico win almost back-to-back seasons. Or no, it was back-to-back seasons. At the Preserve and then Waco. Hey, man, mine and his, you know, careers kind of parallel each other. Like, we were both rookies the same year.
Came in at the same time.
And people aren't calling him old. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think about that, and I'm like, well, you know, pretty soon I guess it's going to be my turn. Yeah.
Now, the average person, you know, surgery, it seems overwhelming. It seems the task to come back and be what you are. Yeah. It seems like too much. And they're told by doctors and other people. Yeah. You know, they don't have the belief system that you did. They don't have control of the space like you did. Mm-hmm. But Phil Mickelson, man, same with me. I mean, I'm 34. Yeah. And to watch somebody who's 50 years old win the oldest person to win a major ever. Old Tom Morris won majors.
Yeah.
They called him Old Tom Morris, and he still never won one at 50.
No. Yeah,
and Phil hit one 366 coming down the stretch on 16 or something. After 4 hours of golf, he still smacks one around.
Yeah.
He takes his health seriously. Is there something that, like vitamins and what do you got going in that department? I know a lot of the guys.
Honestly,
your traveling partner at times, Ezra.
Yep. No, I'm not as good as I should be, like you said.
Well, I'm not either.
With the things that we have going on and the time limits that we have, like that's a whole nother level of dedication that I need to be on.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, but
you'd sleep 4 hours a night if.
Yeah.
Yeah, you allowed yourself to.
If I had to do I wouldn't be able to do everything. Yeah, I get the question a lot, or people saying there's no way you're playing your best doing all the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Like if you were just focusing on disc golf, like you would be a better player, and you can't argue with that. And I'm like, I 100% argue with that.
Yeah, you can 100%.
Because I feel like I can, and as soon as I do something that I feel like would take away from my golf game, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because that still comes first for me.
Yeah.
Until
apples aren't oranges.
Yeah.
This isn't weightlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the 100-meter dash.
Exactly. No, I think that for me, I'm very goal-oriented, and my last goal is a major championship. So until that happens, like, I'm going after it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you know what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on those final cards. You've cashed those clutch putts.
Yeah.
You put yourself in the spot.
For sure. And
all
so,
that experience is,
Yeah, I'm just waiting. Like I said, I'm close. I'm really close.
This is a game of patience, man.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And like I've been in the game for a very long time, which is probably why people do call me old, is because I've
came in
very young and
made
one
waves
of the
right away.
Yeah, one of the only people to stay.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people come up who are just as good or better or more talented, and I don't see them around anymore.
No, it's true. Yeah, the continual grind. You said Nico, yourself. You talk about the fact that there's like 3 players per year that kind of stick around after that time. Who was the third player that you mentioned?
There's a couple. So Devin Owens was in the same group.
Right. The lefty.
Yep. My rookie year, I think it was Devin, Nico, and the person who won rookie year was actually Corey Sharp.
Okay.
Who's a name you probably haven't heard of.
No.
But he was a really good player out of Utah.
Whatever happened to him?
Family.
Yeah.
Yep, family. He was like one of the guys who he had perfect form back then when perfect form wasn't like an everyday thing.
Yeah, when kids didn't have YouTube to model that swing.
Exactly.
After.
Yeah, and he was like he was like a Anthony Barella, to where he could mimic anybody's throw, and he was like insanely talented, and he ended up winning Rookie of the Year that year. But I think from my rookie year
was
is probably
Conrad?
Probably Conrad quit playing for. Well, he never quit. I think he was just a regional player for a very long time, and never really took it that serious. He never came out of Virginia or Colorado, was where he was from. But Devin was I believe a rookie that year.
Yeah, Devin just got married a year or two ago. He's kind of done the family thing himself.
Yeah.
He's still TDing some stuff, the Oklahoma Open, which these guys film.
Probably,
GK.
It's tough to have a family and do that, and
I can't imagine.
Stay on the ground. Almost impossible.
No, it's a lot of single people, a lot of couples, not yet, waiting on the kids.
Yeah, you gotta make a decision for sure, like, having a family and touring and adding that to everything else, that's I also tried to do that when I hurt my leg. My girlfriend at the time had an 8-year-old daughter, and I'm telling you, like, the most support I've ever had in my life. Like, it was great, but what got in the way is I wasn't going to stay home. Like the tour was calling me. That's who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, that decision, that's a hard decision to make. You know what I mean? When you have somebody who wants something, and then, I have my life's work, that it isn't done yet.
Right.
You're
halfway through. You're
exactly
chapter
like,
12 of 25.
And so it was like a decision, like which one, and I had to go a certain way because it just wasn't done yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'll never forget it. I said, okay, now if I'm going to do this, like, I got to write down goals. And my number one goal is, I said, I want to be one of the top 5 most popular players. And at the time, I was a good player, but I wasn't really known, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my discs weren't selling out and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like, if you're going to do this,
Yeah.
like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be a sprinkle of this, and you're not going to, like, you're going to go all in.
What do you think it was that made you feel like you need to write it down? 'Cause I'm also kind of like a pen to paper type of guy. Is that?
Because you can say it in your mind, you know, but when you look at it, I feel like then it brings meaning to where, like, reading it right in front of you, you have your goals here, but like I've always wrote my goals and then put it in front of me.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, and so like just doing that, it just like has always worked a little bit better to me. Visual, like I think, you know, I've read a lot of like books as far as like, you know, the mental side of disc golf or golf in general, and a lot of them say like if you write it down and see it, like if you see it, then
it matters that much more.
Yeah, and it's easier to obtain it.
It sets in. It's amazing. You're talking about like golf is not a game of perfect, and
Yep.
and books like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so like definitely I wrote that down, and then after that I started my YouTube channel. I did my I called up Jomez and I said, hey, I will do anything you guys want for free, and I also have some cool ideas as far as like your production, and I'll do it all on my time, you know. And so that first year they were like, oh dude, we, you know,
What, free hustle? Let's
yeah,
go.
no, but they never, you know, accepted that,
Okay.
obviously. But you know, I had the ideas for like the whole breakdowns and like all kinds of different things, and they were like, because I knew that if I just like put my foot in the crack, you know, of the door, and
You're
just
good
kept
enough.
the
You
door
were
open,
confident,
and then maybe a week in here, a week in there, you know, Germ or Sexton wouldn't be there, then I would be able to step in, because I was always kind of that guy anyway.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden Sexton.
Yeah, I had a crazy opportunity to do it, and that, yeah, like I said, super blessed. Like I said, like you write that thing down, dude,
Yeah.
and you work at it, like it'll happen.
Do you remember what else you wrote down?
I do.
You
Yeah.
said top 5 popular player.
Mm-hmm. I wanted that. I wanted it was a season.
Major.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a major. It was just that, because that was pretty out of reach, probably my first year back.
As you're sitting there with the knee up.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to what was it? I wrote 3 things, I think.
Take your time, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to finish well, like not be a joke out there, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss cash, obviously.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, I have a picture of it somewhere on my phone. I could look it up, but
Yeah.
the one that sticks out is that one, because in order to do that, you have to do everything.
Right.
You're not just going to be,
It's not the
I can't just be like, to me, I wouldn't feel okay just being a commentator or just doing my YouTube thing or doing, I said, okay, I'm going to do it all.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can do it all. If I really try, I can do it all at a highest level possible.
Yeah. Did the YouTube thing seem like a little bit daunting at the time? Like that
Yeah.
to create the
Absolutely, it
channel?
was impossible.
Yeah, the camera was like,
So impossible. You know, I talked to Simon was my main motivation for that.
yeah.
You know, because I literally looked at the most popular players.
Right.
And I said, okay, if I can do all the things that they're doing, then I can get to that.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And Simon
So I would call Simon all the time.
killing it in the YouTube game.
Yep. And I would be like, hey man, like what are you doing, and blah 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 blah. And then I kind of came up with a niche thing that, you know, I've always been pretty good at, like teaching
Yeah.
the game of golf, and so I came up with a thing called Down the Fairways, to where I would give little instructions to keep the attention of the, you know, whoever's on YouTube, and I just started doing one of those a week.
Yeah. Like what What are they about for those people that?
Yeah, so it'll be like one tip. For example, like how I would break down a hole to make a gap bigger or something like that, and little tricks that we learn, through the duration of our career that like a new player would be like, huh, that's actually brilliant. Like I need to do that.
It was going to take them 2 years to figure that out.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's amazing what YouTube can do.
Seriously, yeah.
What you're doing.
And so I would just keep doing those, and it gained a little traction, and it just kept gaining a little traction because I looked at disc golf content across the board, and the number one thing that people want to watch is tournament play. But the next thing, the most views people get was on clinical stuff. Tutorials, exactly. So I did that. Obviously got a lot of help from Simon and a few other people who were doing it, being like, hey, how do I do this? I have no clue. Zero. No clue.
Working the cameras and stuff.
Yeah, dude, the editing was the worst thing ever. I'm the worst editor of all time ever. Like it took me, my first video, it took me 2 weeks to edit it because I'm the worst on computers.
How long were we talking?
It was altogether, I think, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a
couple weeks.
Yeah, I made a tee pad in my backyard, and because we were quarantined, and so I made a tee pad and a net, and I just took everybody through the process of what that was like. And it took me 2 weeks, to get it up. Like after that, I'm like
involved in stuff, or is this just like strictly cutting film and like figuring that out?
No, it was just
music.
A little bit of music. Like it was, I could do it in an hour now. Going back and doing it, but it was so awful.
Yeah.
It was impossible. It seemed impossible.
Right. I mean, that's how a bunch of all of that started. And like you say, Simon helped you. There's a bunch of people in this game laying blueprints. Acl, who we spoke to earlier, feels like the blueprint he's laying is like the course design and also like the private ownership of said course. How do you think that the game is moving in that direction?
Oh, it's what you want to do, honestly. Like Acl's, like you said, laying a beautiful foundation of like, hey, if you really want to hustle and have a course, and if you have a name for yourself, like pretty easy to do. Not easy. I mean, the work's going to be insanely hard, but the process could probably go pretty easy.
Yeah.
He has the backing of a really good company in Prodigy to where they believe in him like insane amounts, and so with the support of that and his hustle. I mean, it's Caleb Biscuit, dude.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna touch something and not be good.
He's Dr. Smooth, as I call him.
Yeah,
but he's also got the Minnesota. You can't say enough about those Minnesota disc golfers.
Seriously.
Like, they go hard in any weather up there, supporting him.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've never really dabbled in that much, is the course design and that part of it. But
interested in it?
Yeah, absolutely. But not like, that seems like a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's like...
People are calling you from all over the United States.
Yeah, I think that's something for me when I'm like 60.
It seems like it'd be hard to do with like a partner or as a couple if you're flying around the country.
For sure.
Laying architectural ground at disc golf courses, cutting down trees and figuring all that. Very interesting though.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody that can challenge players and understands the game at every level. It seems like naturally that'd be something that you'd get into.
I just can't add something else right now.
Gotta wait.
Bro, I'm gonna be double the size if I add that.
I can juggle 5 balls really good. You want 6? Is that
Yeah.
What talking about private ownership and how that's changing the game. We're sitting out here at De La public course. We've had some parking issues and stuff. It feels like this place isn't ready for what disc golf's bringing now.
No, it isn't. And congratulations, disc golf. You know what I mean? A lot of people take that as a negative, like, oh no, De La's. This place is beautiful. The meaning behind this course, the meaning to win this tournament for myself is like probably a top 3 win that I could even imagine. Yeah. For the longest time, it was the Steady Ed Masters Cup.
Yeah. Memorial.
Yeah, this was the memorial for the creator of the
sport.
Like, to win here and to make a speech up there, like, it's not going to get any better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's not like this is what Steady wanted. You know?
Yeah.
Like, he wanted us to outgrow everything.
Yeah.
And so that's like
no slight to
that's a salute. You know, if he was here, he'd be saying the same thing.
Yeah, De La is right there at the bottom of those steps that have taken us to where we are.
Which is great. Like, this place has lasted the test of time as far as like skills. Continually.
You can't really say that in many sports, and especially the golf sports.
Yeah. But now we're at a place to where, like, the parking's a big issue. Like, we can't get live up here. We got live coverage to where people can watch us all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a problem. That is like a blessing.
That's a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, we might not be able to play here at the highest level, but
that's just due to, like, the crazy terrain and the ups and downs mostly.
I don't know. There's just not a great signal up here.
Yeah. I don't know. Just one thing about it.
Yeah, I think that the signal isn't just very good up here, but I mean,
it's hard to watch. Spectating is something that is going to add a lot of money to our game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, places like the OTB Open, Stockton, set up pretty well for spectators.
Absolutely.
They did a great job there, and then, like, at the Preserve coming up, I know that Acl's going to have plans to have a bunch of spectators there. I think that's the future of adding some cash to this game right now.
As soon as you offer spectating passes for them, they're gonna pay. There's so many people who want to play, who want to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many unbelievable amounts.
Take their kids, man.
Absolutely.
Kids growing
there's
up with
a lot of
Calvin Heimberg as their hero.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who just got into the game who are just hungry to watch.
It's kind of crazy how, spectating free basically everywhere until the pandemic, and then there was like no spectating at all. It was like taken away, and now we can bring it back with some rules, with a price, and we can make it a better experience for people at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
It was kind of crazy how that worked. It was perfect because it was going to be a hard transition otherwise. I think from the free spectating to the pay spectating, there had to be that little gap of the no spectating.
Dude, yeah. You can take positives from anything, and to be able to take a positive from, what's happened to the world with that is a nice thing. I think we got really lucky with the little pocket of disc golf that we had.
Yeah.
We were able to play, and hats off to the pro tour. You know what I mean? We were able to play through a lot of that, a lot of the pandemic, and with, I believe, like, no cases. We got to be like one of the only sports that, like, we had to test a few times, and there wasn't anybody who
got sick.
No.
We spend a lot of time in the sunshine,
and that's crazy. And so, I mean, maybe it was just like the universe kind of like sprinkling us a little love.
Let
like,
disc golf have this. Like, this is their moment.
Exactly. And
we brought some light in a dark place too.
Absolutely.
A lot of people reaching out, not just about skins, but just about disc golf in general.
Just being able to go outside, everybody being stuck inside for so long. There's only so many shows on Netflix, bro.
Yeah. And it turns out vitamin D is one of the number one things that
you need, that
keeps COVID away from you.
So
that and exercise. Cool that disc golf got the influx that it did.
Insane.
Talking about contracts and stuff. I mean, you and I spoke about it the other night. We've got a lot of thoughts on it, but some of the biggest contracts that have ever been signed are happening now as we see disc golf booming.
Yeah.
That's something that we're gonna see happening.
Yes.
Like Tiger Woods kind of changing the game. There's one contract in particular that I think changed the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul's
big time, 10 mil.
10 mil, dude.
10 years. It's a lot.
It is, dude.
Especially compared to, like, I think it's got
the market value of second place.
Yeah, the market value of last place. Who's like number, let's say we have, how many people we have in this tournament?
76.
76. Number 76 guy compared to Paul McBeth, and in reality is probably the shortest span compared to other sports, I would guess.
Yeah.
You know
From,
what I
like,
mean?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Probably 76 to 10 mil.
Yep, very fast. So you're telling me that I have to get better than 75 players to be the number one player on the planet?
Yeah.
Bro.
Tricky.
No, not tricky. Think about in golf.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the guy getting last, like no money, last contract to number one in the world, fairy tale. Right? Like he has to beat thousands of people to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and he's probably got a contract with like Callaway and he's getting good money on the Pepsi tour or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, but right now, there's a guy in 76 who has to just get past that many people to be like making that much money. That's the way I look at it. Like it's right there at your fingertips.
Yeah. Who do you think gets it next?
Who's going to get a big contract?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question. I mean, whoever wins the Worlds next is going to get a fat paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, because right now,
We didn't have Worlds last year.
we didn't have Worlds last year. And right now, the game is, there's a lot of people who can win, man.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there would be no surprise if we had a new world champion this next year.
Not the normal list that we see.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine if like, let's say Ricky wins.
Yeah.
You think that guy isn't gonna be asking for millions of dollars? He's gonna look at, you know, he's gonna look on this side and say, Paul Macbeth just made $10 million for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll take 7 for 10.
Yeah.
You know, or I'll take like whatever. And that's like, and now he has a leg to stand on. What Macbeth did for us is he opened it wide open, you know, to where contracts are going to be, they're going to go up. They are. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick could argue he's got 3 of the last 5 or 6 or whatever it is. And
yeah,
that's a pretty good argument.
it's a good argument. You know, one of the things though that people don't realize is it's not, they aren't giving them the money on world titles. They're not doing that. They're giving them the money, they're giving these guys the money on sales.
On creation of revenue.
Creation of revenue, exactly. So that's how much, if Discraft is saying, okay, we'll pay you this for 10 years, it's because he sells, I promise you Discraft isn't getting the worst end of the deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Then Macbeth is legitimately making them so much money.
Yeah.
To where that's a pretty safe bet for both parties.
Yeah, they're willing to wager.
Yes, which means he is selling
$1 million a year plus.
insane amounts of product.
Yeah.
Not just discs. You got to think, like, you go to the course, there's people with Macbeth hats and Macbeth shirts.
It's up here.
Everywhere.
It's right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with selling product, you know, now the company can evaluate the player and be like, okay, that's what you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Some players are really good, but, and this isn't a slight on them, but I don't see a lot of people wearing Calvin gear.
Yeah.
And he's the 3rd best player probably on the planet, if not the best.
Yeah. Most consistent over the past 6 months.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten out of the top 5 in 13 tournaments. That's a record. That's a new UDisc record. What?
Stupid.
Out of the top 5?
5.
Bro, I get 5th at C-tiers.
Yeah. And he's taken some bad rounds into that too.
Yes.
All it takes is a couple of them to get him into play.
And so
You're right though about not seeing any Calvin gear. It's not out there.
it's not there.
No.
You know? So you think that Ennova's gonna say, yeah, you know what, we're gonna give you $5 million for 5 years, Calvin.
Right.
No, that would be a bad business deal.
Yeah.
It would be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. The revenue stream.
That's what it is about, you know?
Yeah, that
it's
Paul
not like
brings in.
in golf to where you win the tournament, in earnings you're making $1 million.
Yeah.
And which means in product, because of all the people that saw it and blah, 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 you're making an insane amount of money for the companies.
The driver you use, the irons you hit, all of them. They just
the cool glasses, like whatever it is.
Phil was wearing some cool glasses.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
It's all gone. You're right.
And so that there's a lesson to be learned there too, is like, hey man, you can win all the tournaments that you want, but right now where disc golf is, it's all about what you sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
take that information and do what you want. But
I know, yeah, there's people listening, people watching now that are trying to make it, and it's not just about the game that you bring it at this point. You're hustling so many different sides of it. You got to get your foot in the door where you can, when you can.
Exactly.
Show that you're valuable, show that you're willing to work hard.
Yep.
Work some weird hours.
Hey, if you can win every single tournament, you're going to make a lot of money.
Do that instead, for sure. But if you can't, like 99.9%, learn to hustle, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's getting bigger, but it's still not crazy big yet. Because that 76 guy, he ain't making much.
Does Phil win again? Major? Another major?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Why would you say no?
He looked so good. I don't know if you can.
Out of nowhere, he looked good. But Tiger did the same thing at the Masters. You know what I mean?
You thought it was about to be a stretch, and Tiger may never play again.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either. You know what I mean? Like, that dude.
How many times has he been told, probably?
That's
like,
what I mean.
Done.
Like, I'm telling about my little dinky story of, like, a little surgery.
Oh, my knee.
Yeah, my knee hurts. Dude. That guy's playing against, like, some of the greatest athletes in the world.
Yeah, and if you've read some stuff about him, he's, like, jumping out of helicopters with Green Berets, like, in his off time.
Yeah, dude. No, don't count out an athlete. You know, there's a great story I just saw about Alex Smith. You know, he almost lost his leg.
Dude.
And then his story coming back, you know, there's this nice documentary out there about him that if you haven't seen it, I mean, you want a little motivation, you go out there and you check that out. Like, bro, that guy's...
No way.
Yeah, that guy's different, made different stuff.
Yeah, I never felt like he could get it done in the big game, but I wasn't ever not a fan.
Yeah.
He played well. He went about it the right way. I could see that being something I need to check out.
You do, man, because he hurt his leg. It
was disgusting.
They almost chopped his leg off.
Really?
Yes. Like his leg was done.
That was one of the options? Right?
And he went through some crazy amount of surgeries, made it all the way back to the NFL.
Yeah.
Played for the Redskins, took him to the playoffs. Last year, got hurt, didn't play in the playoff game. But after they told him that, like, hey, listen, you're not going to have a leg. Like, there's no way you're making it back you're never going to be doing stuff again. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, to the athlete, like, you can't tell the athlete you can't do it.
It's the mind.
That's a certain kind, anyway. You look at a sport, you know, and I'm big time selfish in a way. You know, that time that I was hurt and completely forgot about it, I didn't get calls from any of my peers, nothing. Like maybe like 2 to 3 calls from certain people that I'd known for 10 years. People don't care about you. You know what I mean? And that, when you're in a sport that you gave your entire life to, that hurts big time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do not want to be forgotten.
Yeah.
And in order to not be forgotten, you got to lay an imprint on the sport.
Yeah.
And so when like I said, I want to be the top 5 most popular players. That's not a joke. Like, I want to leave my print on disc golf because I love it so much, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see it grow, and I want to be a part of the growth.
There's not an accident. It's not an accident that you're number 1 in Circle 1 putting right now, either.
No. Got to put in the time.
That stroke's looking so nice.
Thank you. Put a lot of time in on it, man.
You hit some nice ones at Skins.
I hit a good one.
One specific one.
Yeah.
Probably going to feel good.
Yeah.
I like the little comment before the edit. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, go check it out. They lost Skins.
Don't give people too much if they haven't already.
Mm-hmm.
And what in store for Uli in 2021 and in the future?
I just want to, like I said, I feel so blessed to be in the position that I am in. I have a lot of traction moving forward, like a lot. And I just want to keep gaining traction, and obviously I want to win big tournaments. But just being out here and being able to compete is amazing. To see disc golf grow is amazing, and to be kind of part of that, like, we're so close to just being mainstream, being on TV every single week, like real TV.
It does feel close.
It's close, man. And I just want to be there with it. And if it's like, you know, maybe it's something that I do. Maybe I hit an ace or something that like pops us over the edge. And if that's the case, then I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Like, I want to make sure that I'm doing every single thing that I can possibly do to help it.
Is there something similar to like Paul's foundation, something kind of furthering the sport, the game? Maybe it's here, maybe it's there.
It's all momentum, man. It's all momentum. You get a lot of good things going in a certain direction, and it's going to be nothing but success. Like, it's not very often that you have a good idea, good people behind it, momentum, that it doesn't, keep going. Yeah, keep going and going and going.
Stuff.
Exactly. Like, the players that we have at the top right now, are you kidding me?
Such a good list of personalities and golf games.
Good people is what it is. They're good people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not people that you're like, I don't know. Can't really get on board with that guy. It's like, no, like, Paul Ulibarri is a good guy.
Yeah.
Ricky's a good guy.
Yeah.
Calvin's a freaking good guy.
Yeah.
Dickerson's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, all of our best players, they're like people that like your kids can look up to.
Straight up.
And it's like the best role model you could possibly have as a human being. And so with traction like that, like, the sky's the limit right now.
You're unstoppable.
For sure.
What are the things growing up? Like, Acl, Arizona is where you're from?
Yeah, that's where I grew up, yep.
What part about that process created this fiery competitor that we see? Like, take us back.
Oh, man. I mean, I've always been like into sports ever since my first memory, I swear this is my first memory, is I was living in Flagstaff. That's where I was born. And I don't know how old I was, but I remember going out into the yard, and we lived in a little single wide trailer. And I remember opening the door, walking down, and I grabbed a baseball bat and a helmet, like this old orange helmet. Like, I have vivid memory. And walking back inside to my big brother and being like, hey, let's play some baseball.
Throw me some pitches, man.
Yeah. And
how much older is Pete?
We moved from, Pete's 10 years older than me. We moved from Flagstaff when I was 5. So that memory had to have been before,
3, 4.
Yeah, 3, 4 years old.
Right when you're starting to get them.
Exactly. Like, that was like one of my first memories. And I have different memories from that little area, but that's one of the ones that stick out, is like, bro, I was ready to ball. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
I was ready. And then, moving forward, we moved to Oregon, and I was in Oregon for a little bit, and I remember being super competitive just my whole life with whatever I was doing. We lived in this little apartment complex. It was not the best place to live, We called it Garbage Grove Apartments, but it was Garden Grove.
Over in Garbage Grove.
Good old Garbage Grove. And inside the apartment complex, there was like we called it the middle. All the kids called it the middle because we'd all run into the middle and we'd play soccer all day.
Yeah.
So I was big time into soccer when I was like really young.
Yeah.
And I'd just go in there and play all day. And I remember just like, didn't matter what it was, as long as I had a ball, I was down.
Yeah.
And then this is the crazy part. So then we moved from Oregon, and we moved back to Arizona. In the process of us moving, I was 12. Or I think I was 12 years old.
So 6 years in Oregon.
6 years in Oregon. I was 12 years old. We moved to Arizona, and we stopped in Phoenix on our way to Sholo for one night. And I remember sitting up top in a balcony, and I told my brother to come here. And I'm looking down in this park, people playing Frisbee. You know what I mean? And my brother goes, oh, I think that's Frisbee golf or disc golf or whatever. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And it was Vista. I stayed in the Two Palms across the street, and I was looking down being like, yeah, let's go do that. Like,
Whoa.
that looks sick, you know?
At Vista del Camino.
Yeah. And I remember looking down and being like, no, like, I want to go play that.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you know, we can't really play. We don't have any discs or whatever. So that, but I still remember it.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Sholo, and my brother, let me tell you, the best big brother anybody could ever have times 1,000. Like, this dude's 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know what it's like to be a big brother, but I could imagine it can be pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Especially in a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
My brother would go to work, and he worked about 45 minutes away from our house. We lived out pretty far out in the country. And to go to work, you have to go through our town Sholo, and then it's another 20 minutes past that. So it's 20 minutes in the town and then another 15 to my house. He would go to work, and he was a professional BMXer, so he'd go to the skate park like every day and skate.
As a job? Work?
No. He would just do that on the side, you know. Like,
Okay.
he would go to the skate park every day after he was done working.
Yeah.
He was working landscape.
I got you.
And so he came back, he would come back, he would drive through the town, go all the way home, and pick me up and take me with him to the skate park.
Yeah.
Every single day.
An extra 20, 30 minutes or 30, 40
For me
minutes.
to just, like, go hang out with him. And, I mean, we were inseparable for a long time. But just, like, for me to think about that, like, like, that sacrifice is, like, crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I got into disc golf with my dad. My dad had me on the weekends. And so I would go and play with him, like, every weekend. My brother kind of never played. And so he didn't play for the longest time until after I left and I was on tour for a few years. Then he, you know, got a bit older and BMXing wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And he then picked it up. So he was, like I said, a professional BMXer.
How good did he get? Like, what levels did he end up achieving?
Oh, well, for example, like, they had a place in Arizona where all the best BMXers would come and compete. And my brother went there to play, ride in the best trick contest. And he won the best trick contest against all the best players in the world, or riders in the world.
And this is like in the days of Hoffman?
Yeah, Hoffman, Mira, Nyquist.
Nasty.
Yep. Yeah, so he was like legitimate. Like, he was one of the first people to ever land, like, it was a Superman C-grab Indian air where you push it out and then you flip your legs back, and like he was one of the first people to do that, which now is like one of the easier tricks, but back then, you know, people weren't doing that stuff. Like, he could do the backflips and do all the stuff. Like,
Those people also have like those little soft things that they do their tricks into. Like, technology's gotten great. Back in the day,
you're gonna crash.
Yeah, until you figured it out.
Yep.
Hopefully you didn't go to the hospital first.
He went a lot of times,
Yeah.
for sure. But like, he was nasty at that.
Yeah.
And so growing up, though, we were into all kinds of sports, and I'd go out and we'd play. Didn't matter. Like, we'd play catch baseball, we'd play basketball. Like, we would play all sports, ping pong, pool, you know. And we were always super competitive. Now, here's the thing. My brother, I feel like, created me as an athlete because he never took it easy on me.
Yeah.
And when you have a 10-year gap, and my brother obviously being a world-class athlete, like world-class.
You got the wax job a lot.
I got waxed. And I got to the point where I'm like insanely competitive.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I walked outside when I was 3 years old and said, let's get after it, big bro.
I feel
Like, I got you, you know.
Getting waxed can go one of two ways.
Yeah.
It can create a hatred for it, or it can create this passion and this drive to never have that feeling.
Yeah, so it got to a point to where, like, I was competing with my brother, and I didn't realize it till later on in my life because he's just my brother.
Yeah.
To where I was like, wait, I was competing with him, and we got, like, it was a competitive, you didn't know who was going to win at one point.
Nice.
And he had me by 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here I am with this.
It's created
This thing to where then I started playing sports, and I was playing sports against kids my age. And that I don't remember growing up one kid ever who could beat me in anything. You know what I mean? But I was competing against my brother, who was a world-class athlete, my whole life. Like, and he would come after me.
Yeah.
Type thing.
I think you see that in a lot of professional athletes.
Yeah.
The Gronkowski brothers.
Yeah.
Rob getting beat up by his whole
Yeah.
life, and all of a sudden, best tight end ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so yeah, I think that that's where it came from was, me and my brother. And to give you guys an example of how savage this dude is, he just won the Memorial and Masters division. He started 7 years after I started playing disc golf, and now he's like 1,010 rated. Like he's like a world-class disc golfer.
He's got it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He flies airplanes. Like he'll get in glider. He competes in the world championships with like gliding airplanes, and like doesn't matter what this dude does. Like he's insanely like good at everything.
That's
and
amazing.
So yeah, that's who I had to compete against my whole life. That's where I came from.
What was created.
So it was either like just get walloped every time I laced it up doing anything, or
stand your ground at some
point.
Let's
go. Yeah, exactly.
Lean in.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, I get a lot of my confidence from, even to this day, is because I'm like, no, like I got it. Like,
no
I
matter
think
what it is, I got this.
Yeah, like I can do it. No problem.
And early on, golf, sticking ball golf, as Anton called it earlier, was one of the things that, you started playing that before disc golf.
I did, yeah. So I played, again, I went out with my brother, and he had gotten into it with a buddy of his, and then he took me out, and then he helped me get my first set of golf clubs. And then I went out and I just wanted to beat Big Bro.
Yeah.
And so
he was pretty good already.
Yeah, he was really good. He was shooting in the 40s, 9 holes, like something like that, like pretty solid. Like he was getting pars and birds.
Yeah.
And it took me 6 months or something before I was like one of the better players in Sholo. And then it was right around that time there was a junior tour. I was 15, I think.
It was like high school, almost to high school.
Mm-hmm, it was high school, yeah. And there was a junior tour that toured around the White Mountains, which is where I'm from.
I'm not familiar with junior tours. It's like
it was like a tournament.
Yeah.
So like every weekend there would be my parents through the summer would sign me up for this little
travel
junior
play the other
thing.
kids.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And at the end of it, like the best player got to go to state championships, like the top 3 players. So after the 6 months I toured on this junior tour, and I never got outside of the top 3. So I went and played the state championships, and my brother caddied for me actually last round. And I shot I think it was an 86 the first round or something, or 96, something, the worst ever. And then next round I shot 1 under. I had 1 birdie, all pars. And I came back.
15-year-old?
I think I was 16 or something 16. Like that. And I came back and I got like 9th.
Nice.
And then now all of a sudden I'm like one of the better prospects in the thing, and I got a scholarship, to play golf at ASU,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the best golf school like in the
Phil
world.
Mickelson, Hunter Mahan,
Paul Casey.
No, not Hunter Mahan, but Paul Casey. There's some others.
Yeah, John Rahm.
Hunter's OSU, who's also got a good program. Oklahoma State. Maybe 2 of the best programs out there.
Yeah, and
crazy
at that
to get
point.
an offer,
at that point I was like just getting into disc golf as well. And so I'm like playing disc golf, and nothing has ever caught me like disc golf. Not one thing ever. Like I was a seasonal athlete to where, basketball now, baseball then, but skating here, boom, 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 all the way through.
And you caught the disc golf bug, and
I wanted to play every second of every day. At my school, I went to a private school, and they let me play, like on the premises, like on my breaks, I would go putt. Like I just wanted to play disc golf always.
Yeah.
And golf then went outside the.
So you turned down scholarship offer?
Well, I didn't let my parents know that, but I was supposed to. I turned 18. I got the scholarship offer to play golf, and I turned it down to go play disc golf. And so I had a little Toyota pickup truck, and I drove to Phoenix. Stayed with my one buddy. His name was Michael O'Brien. I stayed with him for a couple weeks, and then his mom kicked me out. And I was living out of my truck with no money, and I was just playing every day.
Like the weeklies, leagues,
doubles, whatever.
Cash.
Dude, I hustling however I could. I had It's pretty funny. I have a funny story. I've said this probably a couple other podcasts, but I played like the doubles or whatever, and there was this guy, his name's Floyd Campbell, my best buddy now to this day in my life. And he's like, I think he's like probably 55 now or something, you know. This dude's a baller. And he's like, hey, come play cards at my place after Friday dubs. We're playing cards. I didn't know anything about cards. Okay. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully, I was hoping they had food or something, you know, probably.
Maybe a shower.
And so I get in there and I play, and I notice that he has like a dog. His name was Max. He had a doggy door. And I left. And then he told me his schedule that he would go to work at like 4 a.m. in the morning. So I would go to the casino, and I was 18 or probably 19 at this point, and I would gamble. I would play cards. They didn't check your ID, so I'd play cards. They had this thing called Aces Cracked from midnight until like 3 or 4 in the morning or something, or 6 in the morning, something like that. So I would sit there, sleep, and if I ever saw aces, then you tell the table like, hey, I have aces. And if they beat you, then you get $100. And it, you know, it was what was it, $1? It was 50-cent dollar blinds. So I would sit there all night and I would play no hands until I got pocket aces, and I'd tell everybody I'd get beat and I'd make $100 hopefully. And I would do this. I did this for a long time, and then after I would get done, you know, Aces Cracked is over. Plus, you would get free meals if you had a certain amount of time at the place.
Yeah, totally.
Then you get points.
Players
and you get,
cards.
Yeah, you go swipe into the buffet, bro.
Bro. Now we're talking. I know about the casino.
Yeah. And then I would go to Floyd's house. I'd jump his fence. Max loved me, which was rare. And I'd go through the doggy door. I'd sneak into his house, and I'd sleep all day, you know, until it got to about like the time he was supposed to get home, which is like, you know, 5 o'clock, and I'd leave. And I'd go practice, do my routine, play the doubles wherever, and then go back to the casino and do this.
Sit and wait for aces.
And one day, so I'm literally breaking into this dude's house, like straight up. And one day he comes home, and I'm sitting in the back room. I would remember, I'm like, all right, if he ever comes home,
I can get out of this one quick.
I can leave.
You get away playing. And
I was sleeping on his black futon in his computer room. And I wake up, and he's on the computer. And I'm like, dude, like, I kind of knew it happened eventually, you know, type thing. And he goes, quit sneaking through the doggy door, the key's on the counter. And this dude, like,
didn't care.
Didn't care. He was just like, he knew I was doing it probably. Yeah. And I mean, I lived with him for, you know, 5-6 years off and on after that.
Well,
like, yeah.
Facilitating. You
Crazy.
need those people, those experiences.
Unbelievable,
or
yeah.
It's way too hard.
Yeah, like a good break like that, like he, instead of him like kicking me out or,
yeah.
you know, sticking Max on me or the police or whatever,
yeah.
like he is just like super dope and still one of my best buddies till this day.
Crazy story, man. It takes a team to make this happen.
Absolutely, yeah. My parents were pissed about the scholarship. They didn't, my mom really didn't talk to me for like a long time afterwards. Like they were not cool about it. And to this day, you know, when things aren't going great, I think about that scholarship a lot.
Yeah.
And especially watching the tour, you know what I mean? Like I have the mentality, like I told you, where I can like be confident and that I can do like whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I look at like,
could have been playing for 1.9.
Yeah, I look at that and I'm like, oh boy, like maybe that could have been me, you know, type thing. Or, but
you are where you're supposed to be, I think.
I think so. Yeah,
I think everybody watching would agree, man. Mm-hmm. Without you.
No, I was born to play disc golf for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Paul, dude, it was amazing sitting down with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
And I appreciate you guys being with us as well.
Yeah.
This has been the Go Throw Show, episode number 3, brought to you guys by Flight Factory Discs. And it's just been an honor to sit here and conversate with one of my friends, one of the legends of the game.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me, man.
Paul Ulibarri.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.